Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah. If you're new here, I make videos on teaching and lifestyle. And today I can't wait to film this video for you and share what I have found about the indoor spin experience. So like usual, I have some notes that I've written down. So I'm gonna have these with me as I talk to you guys a little bit about the experience that I've had between SoulCycle, CycleBar, and another local sort of boutique spin studio. So as you guys may or may not know, I live just a little north of Tampa, so I have a couple of options for spin studios that I can go to. Most of them are a little bit of a drive from me, so about 40 minutes, and then the other one, CycleBar, is relatively closer. It's about 15 or 20 minutes away. So I kind of want to start off by saying that I do have a preference when it comes to these three, and I'll let you know what that is at the end. But for right now, I'm just going to go through and share with you guys by category what I found about the experience at the three studios that I've been to. So starting with cost. I feel like this is pretty easily accessible information, but I did go out and just look up these things for you guys. So SoulCycle is $26 for one class. You can purchase packs of larger classes. I believe they have 3 for $50 right now, which is a special. They do have a 5-class pack, a 10-class, and more than that. But I am just going to be talking about single class packs. So SoulCycle, $26 plus. If you do not have shoes, you have to spend $3 to rent shoes. As far as CycleBar goes, they have a 1-class package for $25 and free shoes. So actually very similar in price there. I was kind of surprised by that. And then the last one that I'm going to be talking about is SOHOcycle, which is a boutique independent cycle studio here in Tampa. It's in the Soho district of South Tampa. So they offer classes for one class for $20 plus free shoes. And then they also have 3 to 4 community rides per week, which are $10. They are at less ideal times that I find for somebody who might work like a 9 to 5. But if you're somebody who works from home, or if you're somebody who has gaps of time off like I do as a teacher in the summertime, then those $10 community rides are a really good deal for a spin class. The next category I have for you are time slots. And so what I did was I just went online and looked at how many time slots they had per day. So SoulCycle has 5 weekend classes per day, Saturday and Sunday. They're pretty well spaced out throughout the day, the majority of them being in the morning, but they do have at least 1 or 2 afternoon ones on each of those days. They also seem to have pretty consistently 5 weekday classes that are well spaced out between morning and evening, as well as a noon class. CycleBar has 3 classes on Saturday, and they offer 2 classes on Sunday. Both of those are more morning time classes. During the weekdays, they offer 5 classes, a morning, afternoon, as well as a noon class. And then the private studio Soho has 4 classes on the weekend days, both Saturday and Sunday, as well as 6 classes per day on the weekdays, including a noon class. So if you are somebody who works, you could go in the morning or after work or during the day. I did find that SoulCycle seems to have the best time slots, or the best selection of time slots out of the 3. The next 3 categories, I have weights, music, and then mood, vibe, and instructors. So I'll be talking a little bit about what the classes are like. As far as using weights goes, SoulCycle and CycleBar both offer weight portions to their regular cycle classes, whereas Soho offers a specific tone class that includes resistance bands. So I feel like it is pretty common that a spin studio is going to offer some sort of a lightweight upper body workout in most of their classes. As far as the music goes, so this is where I really see the biggest difference between this, the mood, and the instructors. I think that this is where my personal decision of which one is my favorite, this is what made me decide. So SoulCycle is, I described it as upbeat, edgy. Their music is remixes, and I would say that the music is progressive. It's very like on trend, sort of like an EDM sort of dance vibe, which I find is really nice because in a spin class, that's what I'm looking for. I want my music to be upbeat, I want it to be positive, I want to push myself hard, I want it to be like a fast pace. So SOHOcycle I found was very, very similar, upbeat, edgy with remixes, very progressive. What is unique for them, they have 2 giant screens in the front of the classroom where they project music videos. They don't project stats or anything like that for the class, but they do play music videos. So if you're, struggling to get through a song, kind of gives you something to zone out on and watch other than just the instructor. As far as CycleBar goes, I describe their music as boppy, radio edits, and maybe not quite as upbeat, just because they don't seem to play, or in the 2 classes that I have been there, they did not play any remixes, they did not play anything that was like dance music. It was just like songs from Spotify that are on the radio. I did go to one regular class where they played music that is popular right now on the radio, so I would describe that as pop. And then the last one that I went to was a Flashback Friday to 1998. It was like a theme ride, but it was still very just basic, the songs you would find on Spotify as you look them up. There was no remix to them or anything like that. The next category is mood and overall vibe. Starting with SoulCycle. I described it as a positive and welcoming atmosphere. They do have a dark studio, so one thing that I liked about that was that I felt like I could go in there and just kind of do my own thing. Nobody was looking at me. I did feel like I wanted to take my shirt off and just ride in my bra. That was totally fine. Nobody could see me. I didn't have to feel self-conscious, so that was kind of an upbeat. Their class studio is very hot. So if you do not like a hot ride, this may not be the thing for you. There was basically no breeze at all. You're gonna sweat. SoulCycle by location, by design, are more urban, so you're gonna have more of an urban kind of feel, more of an urban type of people that go there, and they describe their studio as a sanctuary. They encourage you to leave your cell phone in the locker. They encourage you to kind of like a yoga class, or almost like, I don't want to say church, but you get my drift. They just encourage you to go in and unplug and focus on you. So I wrote down many of the same things for SoHocycle, as well as the sanctuary sort of feel, where again they ask you to unplug. It feels just very much like you're focusing on yourself during that time. CycleBar, I did find that it's a little different. I described them as all-inclusive of ages. There were definitely more people there that were a bit older than the SoulCycle crew or Soho. I would describe it as more suburban kind of feel. I could tell that there were a lot of moms in there. There were some mom and daughter duos that were in there together riding. I did feel like I would describe the age group as over 30. Myself being 32, I feel like I was almost on the younger end of the spectrum of who was there. About their studio, it is very well lit. I rode in the back both of my rides, and I think that the first time I rode there, I was like the next row to the back, and then this last time I was in the very back. And it seems that the instructor controls the lighting, and they have red lighting, blue lighting, white lighting, and no lights. There was very few times during the ride that there were no lights, that was very dark, similar to like Soul. but the red light was on, I would say, the majority of the class, which sort of made me feel like the people next to me were like watching me. And then the other thing that is very different about CycleBar from the other two is that they have a computer on your cycle in the front that tells you what gear you're at, as well as your statistics, how far you've gone, how many calories you've burned, and what your RPMs are. So the instructor is able to say you should be at this many RPMs between these, she might say like between a 4 and a 6 on your gears. Additional to that is that CycleBar has screens in the front of their classroom where they post your rank in terms of the amount of work or power that you've generated on your bike. One other thing that I wanted to make sure that I mentioned is that Soul and Soho, like I said, sanctuary vibe. I noticed that in the CycleBar class there was a lot of chatter going on, even while we were riding, while the instructor was talking. So it was sort of more of like a group class feel, sort of like, I would say it felt like I was taking this class maybe at a gym rather than at a specific spin studio. I just didn't feel like the group was focused on the ride and on themselves as much as they were at the other two. My last category is instructors. I have the same notes written for Soul and Soho, which are that they were very motivational. They pushed you, even during the tougher parts of the ride, like 3/4 of the way through, you're gonna do some hills. You might get into the weights and it might be kind of tough. You know, you're feeling like, man, I could just sit down and it would be okay. No one would notice, but the instructor was up there saying, everybody is here struggling and we're gonna get through this together, and you know you can do this, and just keep going and try to focus on your breathing rather than how hard it is. And I just felt like their focus was more on motivating you to get through it. In CycleBar, I felt like the experience was more about, you've made it here, you've already done this much, it's okay if you need to sit back and take a break, nobody here is judging you. So I felt, and again, this could just be the instructor, the specific instructors that I've had, but I did feel a little bit more like it was gonna be okay if I just sat back and took a break and got myself sort of out of the vibe. And I would prefer someone to tell me that I can do it and have an instructor. If I'm gonna pay that money, I want somebody to kind of push me to get through it more than I would push myself just going to the gym. So overall, which is what we've all been waiting for, I feel, so would I go back? I will tell you up front that I have been to 2 SoulCycle, 2 CycleBar, and about 4, I believe, Soho classes. I would say that I would be least likely to return to a CycleBar class. I wrote down that I think it is just too expensive and it's not enough of an experience. I don't feel like I'm really getting an experience from it for the money that I'm spending. And I feel honestly like I would rather just go to one of the other ones if I have the time and the money to do it. So that would be my least likely. Second would be SoulCycle. I wrote down that I would go back occasionally. I probably would not purchase groups of classes or packages of classes just for the fact that I live far away and their classes expire within 30 or 60 days. So I don't think that I would go 5 times in a month. If I lived closer, I would definitely do that. My number 1 would be definitely SOHOcycle. It has been my number 1 preference since the first time I went. I found that it felt the most like home for me. It was the best vibe. I felt like I got my money's worth, especially when I went to the community rides for $10, which are sometimes new instructors, but honestly, it's been great every time I've gone. So for the money and for the experience, I feel like you get your most out of maybe going to a local boutique cycle or spin studio. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you've been to any of these studios and have a preference, will you share down below what you think and what you found? I'm very curious to see what others out there think, because I haven't really found a lot of anybody comparing these two, Soul and CycleBar, let alone a boutique studio. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you found it helpful. And if you did, I hope that you will click the like button down below and subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out going forward. And thank you guys so much. Have a great day.